verify it at some point, or whoever wants to. This happened.
Yeah, throw it in the comments.
I think
somebody's going to argue.
They were either Spanish or Portuguese or something. They went down to South America and came back and reported a thriving civilization. Yeah. I saw this on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was not him saying it. It was the expert he had on talking about this, and where this came into the LiDAR conversation and all that. There was I think they were either Spanish or Portuguese, came down to South America to explore, came back and reported a thriving civilization with cities and trade and just a thriving civilization, okay? 100 years later, they came back to explore, and there was nothing. They're like, what are you guys talking? There's no, this was all made up. They made all this up, and they knew nobody was going to be able to catch them on it, so they made it up. Yeah. It turns out that those original explorers had brought disease with them and wiped them all out with that. And so the forest the rainforest is a cultivated forest. It's not wild. They planted and maintained it that way for a long time. Yeah. Black dirt and all that. You're talking about they had some special kind of dirt.
You took the words right out of my mouth, man. That black dirt. Oh, my Lord.
And the way that it happened, there's a forest on top of the forest.
Yeah.
A forest growing on top of the forest where other plants grow on top of the original plants. And there's a double forest down in South America where the canopy that you see from the plane isn't the canopy that's under the canopy. It's wild, the rainforest, the Amazon. Anyway, 100 years is all it took for the forest to swallow that people whole after disease wiped them out in a cataclysmic event of explorers coming from another land. I mean, it happens that way. So, like you're saying, it does. I mean, it is fast and easy for you see these accounts on TikTok where people are going in all these abandoned houses. Yeah. Man, in 100 years, they'll be gone. They'll be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be gone. And the other thing too, when I was pushing back that there's no way that we could be in the Satan's short season, is because I was reading the Bible, and because of your channel, actually, you put a thing on there where it's like, don't read it, study it, right? So I started changing I read it sometimes for spiritual guidance, but sometimes I go in there and read it like I'm reading a history book or like a map.
Yes.
And I came across a passage in the book of Revelations, I think it was the Battle of Armageddon, where it was saying that the birds will feast on the bodies of men and mighty men. And I never had noticed that term mighty men before. And then when I saw it in the very beginning of it, when there were men on the earth, the mighty men, talking about the Nephilim or whatever you want to call them, right? So I was telling people that there's no way we're in Satan's short season because they haven't made their appearance or came back or whatever.
Right. So I've said a whole bunch and haven't even addressed how it's impossible for us to be in Satan's short season, but it is what you're talking about here. Okay. So people don't understand that Satan's never been to hell yet. He hasn't been thrown down to the earth yet. It's like the book of Job, chapter 1 and 2. He roams around on the earth seeking whom he may devour. Then he still has access to go to heaven and accuse the brethren in front of God day and night, like we see in the book of Zechariah, chapter 3. Satan accusing. Job 1 definitely details this. Satan, where'd you come from? I came from the earth and walking to and fro in it. Where is he now? He's in heaven. He came from the earth to present himself before God with the sons of God to accuse, right? The brethren. So, who has fallen and who is in hell? Well, in the days of Noah, some watchers quit heaven and came to the earth. Enoch wrote all about this. It's talked about in Jude chapter 1, verse 6, which quotes at least the first 37 verses of Enoch 1. Okay, Jude 6 talks about this directly and verbatim. And I'll really bring all this together for you in just a second. Jude 1,
awesome. Amazing.
Verse 6 says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, they didn't stay in heaven. They didn't keep their celestial bodies, their estate. When Jesus says, I go in my Father's house are many mansions, I go to prepare a place for you. That's talking about estates. He's talking about morning stars, the glorified celestial bodies, talked all about in the second half of 1 Corinthians 15. There is a terrestrial body. There is a celestial body. There is a natural body. There is a spiritual body. We get this one first. We get that one after. That is the resurrection. 1 Corinthians 15, Paul details that. And the angels which kept not their first estate, or morning stars, or bodies, or mansions in heaven, their celestial bodies, but left their own habitation. They left heaven and their bodies up there. These are the planets in our solar system, the wandering stars. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Satan has not yet been wrapped in chains and thrown into hell. All prophecies in the Old Testament talking about Satan compare him directly to the angels that did fall, the angels he cast to the earth to devour Christ as soon as he was born, back in the days of Enoch and Noah. This is Revelation 12, tells this whole story. He threw the watchers to the earth to kill Christ. God flooded the earth, bound them in chains, and threw them in hell. All prophecies about Satan after that compare him directly to what happened to them and says it's going to happen to you too. Doesn't happen until Armageddon, though, that Satan gets wrapped in chains and thrown in hell. So currently, you got the angels that quit their first estate and came to the earth in the days of Enoch and Noah. As the days of Noah were, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. Satan and his angels, a third of the stars of heaven, are going to get thrown to the earth, okay, by Michael. This is Revelation 12. Has not happened yet. He still has access to accuse us day and night in front of our God, okay? So when Satan gets thrown down to the earth, something very peculiar is going to happen to the earth. First of all, a third of the stars are going to fall from heaven. We still got the same ones from all the recorded history up there, okay? That hasn't happened. The powers of heaven will be shaken. And that means Satan and his angels getting thrown down. That's Matthew 24. That hasn't happened yet. The stars haven't fallen, for they're still up there. The mountains and islands are going to move out of their places. That has not happened yet. Oh, it's all metaphorical. No, it is not. Well, mountains and islands. No, it is not. It's talking about a celestial event in which stars fall from heaven and the sky rolls back like a scroll and the mountains and the islands move out of place. Why? Because that all started, the mountains and the islands are because of the flood to begin with. Did y'all know that mountains are formed when two pieces of land collide after they've already busted apart and come back together again? That's what the mountain ranges are, fam. People will say, well, how's the Edgar Cayce map?
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.